Welcome to the Make Your Mark podcast. Hey everyone, I'm Mark Moyer, author of Win Again, speaker, career coach, and business advisor. And I help athletes, executives, and entrepreneurs reach their fullest potential. What you're going to be hearing in every single episode are conversations with athletes and other sports-related influencers. And we'll be offering you the insight that you need to succeed in life, including advice that will let you jump past your competition, whether it be for a great new job or taking your business to a much, much higher level. Make sure to connect with me on social media at Mark Moyer Coach and go to my website, markmoyer.com, to get access to the tips and strategies that my coaching clients get directly. If you're looking for ways to make your mark, send me an email to mark@markmoyer.com and I'll get you going right away. Thanks for joining me today. It's going to be an awesome episode. Now, are you ready to make your mark? Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome wherever you're listening globally to the Make Your Mark podcast. I hope you're having an awesome day. I sure am, because I've just finished chatting with Randy Kessler, and Randy is an awesome guest. This guy's had such an incredible life. He's been a lawyer and doing family law for so many years, but he's been representing some really big shot athletes, and you're going to have to hear some of these stories. They're really pretty cool. But just as importantly, he's started a new app that I believe are going to make hundreds of thousands of people's dreams come true. And that sounds so, I don't know, Pollyanna or something or other. But this guy, it's really cool. I mean, wait till you hear it. It's really awesome. But before we get started, if you haven't done so already, check out the podcast on iTunes. Check it out wherever you're listening on for podcasts and so on. Subscribe, leave me a review, get involved, send me an email to mark@markmoyer.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you in general. So reach out, and I'm excited about this episode. Randy is a cool guy. He's got that cool Southern accent. The guy's on TV all the time. He's on CNN every 15 seconds or whatever. He's an expert and an expert analyst, but he's just a friendly guy too. You're going to love him. So without further ado, you're going to listen to Randy Kessler and how he's going to make your mark, or make his mark, on the Make Your Mark podcast. Let's do it. All right, so I'd love to welcome Randy Kessler, who is extraordinarily accomplished in a variety of different areas. I met Randy recently at a conference in Las Vegas, and it was effectively a 2-day networking get-together. But what was great about it was that there were 3 or 4 presenters, and Randy was included and gave a great presentation on family law, and more specifically, how it pertains to athletes and retired athletes and current athletes. And before I go on much more, I might as well just say hello. Hi, Randy. Thanks for joining me on Make Your Mark.
Mark, thanks for having me. It was great meeting you out there. And man, that was like an unexpected pleasure to meet so many people that were driven to get out there and on their own nickel, start learning how to promote their business, get themselves out there. And you were a star too. So thank you for having me on this, and thanks for being there, and thanks for the kind words. Well,
I appreciate that. It's funny. When you get surrounded by other people that have done a lot and accomplished a lot, it's interesting. It really motivates you to do even more. And it's sort of like, I still try to play sports, and I play ice hockey with a bunch of younger people, and I'm decidedly probably one of the worst guys, if not the worst guy on the team, but it does elevate my game to try to compete with them. And that's sort of the same feeling I got with all of us that were there. Everybody had different areas of accomplishment, but they were really impressive, right?
Yeah, everybody there. And it's funny. The least impressive guys were the former NFL guys, who were very, very impressive too. Not that they were not impressive, but like that was just sort of, by the way, we used to play football in the National Football League, which very few people in the world get to do. So,
right.
It was interesting.
No, it really was. But so what we're going to talk about today is, the title of my podcast is Make Your Mark. And we're going to talk about how you're making your mark out there, not just how you've been doing it, but how you're going forward doing it. We'll talk a little bit about your practice. We'll also talk about you being on the media, TV, all over the place, LinkedIn superstar. And we're also going to talk about Starsona, which is something I'm very, very interested in. I really think it's I'm pretty excited about it, and
me too.
Yeah, well, I hope so, right? And then we'll also talk about, maybe we'll cover a mistake or two you've learned along the way that maybe you have some advice for other people that could really benefit from hearing how you've been through something.
I've never made a mistake.
Well, I can see that, but well, wait a minute. No, there's one that I read. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so
I've made many.
Well, we all have, but what's really interesting is that some people say, and I'm not so sure about it when people say, well, you've got to fail and fail and fail and fail and then whatever. And I say, well, no, maybe fail once or something, then maybe succeed after that. It's okay. Right?
Yeah, if you don't fail, it's not the worst thing.
Right, exactly. Excellent point. But let's start off real quick I'm just curious to hear, how did you get into the type of law practice you're in now? And what got you started back then?
So, I didn't really go into law because my grandfather was a lawyer. My grandfather was a cab driver, and I've told the story. He, when I was 3 years old, said, you're going to be a lawyer when you grow up, a good, honest lawyer, not a shyster, and not, planted the seed. My dad wanted to be a lawyer. He wrote a high school essay about being a lawyer, but he graduated college and was a sales guy and had 2 young kids and never got to be a lawyer, never went to grad school. So I went after college, I thought, it's in the back of my mind. How can I help people? How can I further my career? How can I get educated? And I wasn't ready to get out in the real world. So I went to law school back below the Mason-Dixon line. I'd been in undergrad up in Boston and it was cold. And I grew up in New Orleans. So I said back down south and I went to Emory Law School. Right. Very easy city to move to, Atlanta, and clerked for some great firms. They kept putting me into family law cases, probably because nobody else wanted them. And I would handle them. And I started my own firm 3 years out of law school. Took everything that came in the door. And the family law cases were better cases. There were people coming in appreciating me instead of, oh, you're young. Can you handle my traffic ticket? Can you handle this case? They were, and I'd had some experience in that during law school and I clerked during the year in law school. And it just sort of developed. Also, something else sort of seemed to fit, which was 30 years ago, nobody advertised themselves as a divorce lawyer. No, it was very unbecoming. Nobody wanted to be that kind of lawyer. So there were not a real bunch of specialists. And, people that did family law, they sort of did it on the side, or they did it in addition to their bankruptcy practice and so I was in that generation where it's okay to be a divorce lawyer. There's, at that time, divorce was just becoming popular. There was more and more of it. And it wasn't, oh, you're getting divorced? Shame on you. It was almost, oh, you're getting divorced? Me too. I've got a friend. And, it almost became an in thing to be a divorcee. So I wasn't embarrassed to be a divorce lawyer. I started doing it, and the business came in, and I was, I think, good at it. And I stopped doing anything else because divorce paid the bills better than anything else. And I felt I was helping people, and which is what I always wanted to do. And that was the best use of my law degree.
Well, and that's great. So what ended up steering you towards, now you represent a fair amount of athletes. What got you towards that space?
I think there's a lot of, I don't know, luck or fortuitousness or whatever the word is. Atlanta happens to be sort of the big fish, small pond kind of thing where there are a lot of athletes and hip hop and entertainers that live in Atlanta. All my colleagues and peers say, hey, if you really want to be a big time divorce lawyer, you should go to LA and be in Beverly Hills. But there are a lot of good lawyers in Beverly Hills. There's some good lawyers in Atlanta, but I feel like there just happen to be a lot of public people, public personas. The hip hop industry is booming. The film industry is now booming here in Atlanta. And I've got a good reputation. Our firm's got a good reputation. We have 12 lawyers and we do a lot of high-end cases. And, everybody wants the best. And if we're perceived as the best, then, athletes hear about us. Probably a couple other things. I was asked to speak for the Players Associations for the NBA and NFL, and that helped spread the word that, not only was I good, but I knew, how NFL players' schedules worked and how their bonus structures worked and how they couldn't get their retirement money until they'd been out of the league a certain number of years. So they just sort of coming in. And I think word of mouth is probably stronger in the sports world. The locker room talk that, unfortunately our president made, popular for the wrong reason. But there is locker room talk, which is, how do you deal with your baby's mother? Or how do you handle this stuff? And I guess our name kept popping up. And I love athletes. I love, being able to vicariously see what it's like to be a 21-year-old kid given millions of dollars to play a game you love. And I get to sort of see what they're going through. And it's a thrill every time I meet one of them.
Well, it's interesting when you do meet them, I think the public's perception is that they're sort of up on a pedestal kind of a thing because that's the way they're placed, but they're completely regular people, man. They're
learning life like all of us, but they got to learn it super fast. That's what's amazing.
Yeah.
These athletes, they got to, when they're 21 years old, they got to learn about disability insurance and life insurance and retirement. I mean, I didn't think about retirement or life insurance until I was 40,
I know, right?
They got to figure out their money they're going to make in the first 5 years of their adulthood. Most of them, that's got to last them their whole life. I mean, could you imagine if you or I said everything you earn from age 20 to 25 is what you're going to have to live on for the rest of your life? Put it away, invest it wisely. I mean, how do you figure that out? It's hard. So
yeah, I don't know. And unfortunately, as we all know, there are some people that step into their lives that are not necessarily acting on their best interests. And
no. And how do they develop the discipline to say, I want an advisor that's going to tell me no? Everybody wants somebody that's going to tell them yes. I want a financial advisor that says it's okay to buy an $8 million house. I earned $8 million. Why can't I buy an $8 million house? That sounds great when you're 20, and then when you learn about taxes and other stuff.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of other stuff, you gave a great presentation on some of the things that athletes should be aware of that they're not. But why don't you, if you don't mind, maybe just listing a couple of them right now and you can just get into them a little briefly. But what are some of the things that they should be aware of and careful of? And
well, there are hundreds of them. Number one, don't be afraid of lawyers. They need to talk to a lawyer and figure out their future. And number two, their career is going to end. Artists, hip hoppers, musicians may last forever. If you're an NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, athlete, your career is going to end. Plan for it. Don't just think, I can afford it. I'll keep giving her money, because you had $10,000 a month discretionary money to give her every month. That's going to go fast. So get it reduced. That's number one, or at least talk to a lawyer about how to plan the future. Number two, just do the right thing. It sounds so simple, but if you got kids and you're fighting with the mother of the child because she won't let you see the kid or she wants more money, the easy thing to do is to go to a lawyer and fight. But the hard thing to do is to just call her, even though she's being ugly to you because she doesn't like your new girlfriend, and just say, I just want to know, how's Junior doing? How's the baby doing? Send nice handwritten notes. No matter what happens, the rest of your life, you did the right thing. Take a picture of it and save it in your little treasure chest that you give your kid when your kid turns 20 or 30 and says, Dad, how come you weren't around? How come you didn't marry Mommy? Keep a little keepsake of, let me show you what I thought of you and how much I loved you and how I kept your baby pictures. And, just the simple stuff that you got to separate your kid from the other parent, and athletes have hard, difficult relationships. There's just so many people that want them. And they're always wondering, does she love me because of me? Does she love me because of my money? Does she love me because her girlfriend challenged her to find a football player and have a kid with him? I mean, they ask these questions because they're legitimate questions for people to ask. So,
and what's incredible is that the non-athlete, the average person out there, does not necessarily ever anticipate that. It's just really those people in the public eye that they're constantly being approached by people, and you're right, you just don't know who is truly legitimate and who isn't. And so you've got to be prepared for those that aren't, I guess, legitimate and so forth.
And it hurts because there are people that are legitimate that want to offer them real products or real deals, or they say, listen, I don't want anything from you. I just want you to know you can eat for free at my restaurant anytime you want, because it'd be a pleasure to have you there, and because you bring me joy when I see you on the baseball field. They're probably thinking he's going to hit me up for some money or to invest. And it just might be a normal business owner that says, hey, I just like having ball players come in and eat hot dogs at my place because it's cool. Some people don't have an agenda. Unfortunately, I'm sure they get suspicious and skeptical of everybody because a lot of people do have agendas.
Well, and that's one of the first things I noticed when I began to coach retired athletes and athletes in general. And one of the guys was a hockey player, and I explained to him how I was, coaching people and what the program was. And I explained what the financial costs were. And I said, well, the first month is this, the second month is, third month is this. And he ended up saying, well, wow, I can't justify spending all of that money on this. I don't even know what you're going to do with it, that sort of thing. And I said, whoa, slow down. No. It caught me off guard because I was so used to dealing with executives and other professionals that they were like, oh yeah, that's what you're going to do. That's great. And this guy was like, you're going to take my money and run, aren't you? I said, no. But what's interesting is once I helped him, and it took just 5 weeks from when he was basically on his couch and doing day trading to starting a job at a financial services firm where he was doing trade support, and he was thrilled. And he kind of said to me, Mark, you've got to keep helping athletes because we're kind of abandoned when we leave the game, where, our agents leave us, the teams leave us, everything, right?
That's exactly the problem. It's always a problem.
Yeah. And so that's what really positioned me to make that switch. And, it's interesting. You were talking about when you first came out of law school and how you ended up doing family law, and more specifically divorce law, which at the time was almost non grata, right?
Right. It's not really well respected.
Isn't it interesting, though, how we all get presented opportunities that we may not anticipate at all, and then we run with them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Ideally. So that's how you, back to your sort of background, you've got this practice. Now, you mentioned to us at the conference, and I thought it was hilarious, but I could see how it's true. The fact that you actually live nearby or across the street from CNN, you're on TV a lot.
Yeah, I was there this morning. I walked over. They called me and they said, "Can you come talk about the story?" And it's great because I wouldn't want to leave my practice for 2 hours in the middle of the day, but to walk across the street, to be on for 10 minutes. And what was cool is you feel like you're in the middle of the world. You hear all this news going on. I walked in. I was supposed to be on at 11:15. Well, I got there at 10:45, and then they moved my segment till 11:45. So I was there for an hour. I ran into people from makeup that I know. I ran into a reporter that I know. We talked about how he's been on the border with Mexico. And it's just invigorating hearing, these people are trying to figure out how to tell the story of the world. Ran into a CNN writer, and it was just, it feels good to be able to do that. And I learned that they don't really want me to be the sophisticated intellectual lawyer. They want me to just break things down and tell them simply, which is what I do every day for a client that comes in with a horrible divorce situation. I just say, you're going to be okay. Here's the issue: alimony, division of property, custody, and once you start making it simple, everybody says, "Thank you. That makes me feel better." If you think it's that simple, then I feel better. And everything can be simplified.
Well, especially in law or in insurance or in a whole variety of ways. But it's funny. When I tell people what I do for a living, I advise people, and sometimes they'll say, "Well, do you have a PhD? Do you have a this? Do you have a that? Or do you have letters after your name?" And I say, "Well, no. I've got the sort of the PhD of life. Yeah. Living in New York, whatever it is, and I've seen it all and done most of all, and the I'm sure you have too. And what's I guess the good thing about being our age is that we've seen enough things that we really have such a breadth of experience that we can pull from that maybe people that are, we'll say, a little less seasoned don't enjoy. But so the TV stuff now, have you felt that I'm assuming it's done wonders for your business, right? Or not necessarily?
So I don't really know. It's an interesting question. People ask me that all the time. Don't you get a lot of business? I don't think anybody sees me on TV and says, I want to hire him because he was on CNN or he was on whatever. I think people that have met me once or twice, or they've heard about me because their friend used me for their divorce, and then they forgot about me. Then they see me on TV and they say, "Oh, that's that lawyer." And I guess he is good because CNN trusts him, or CBS trusts him, or the Today Show thinks he's not a screw up, and they're willing to risk their reputation by having him on the show. I think it reinforces it. I don't think people actually see me and say, "He answered that question so well, I wanted to be my lawyer." But marketing, I guess, is like that. You sort of don't know where the next case is going to come from. And I had a guy call me and said, "I'm an NFL agent. I checked out some websites in Atlanta. I saw yours, and then I asked two friends of mine that were lawyers, and they both recommended you, lawyers from another state." So, I guess he said, "Then you must be the best because I saw and heard about you 3 different ways." So I guess it's one more aspect of marketing, but I don't really do it to market. I do it because it's fun to help teach the average person about law. What a good lawyer does is says, here's the simple answer to the question. Don't be worried about it. Here's what's going to happen. Here's how it's going to happen. Here's the way the process works. Demystifying the judicial system is sort of it seems easy for me, and I like doing it. I feel like I'm helping, and if we get some business from it, great. If it makes my mom happy because she gets to see me on TV, then great. That's great. But that's about it.
Well, look, and the same goes with social media, but the same goes with writing a book and that sort of thing. Where it's it does certainly add credibility. I think, what's interesting about being an author is that, from my perspective anyway, is that, people say, wow, you wrote a book, that's amazing. And you must really know what you're talking about. But unfortunately though, I've read a lot of books that the people clearly don't know what they're talking about. But, it reminds me quickly of a story where a friend of mine, his company was hiring a sales coach to come in. And she had written a book. Well, he told me that she appeared for, it was a couple of days, and I think it was $20,000 her fee. Okay. And she had sent her books in advance, but nobody read the book in advance. And he told me, Mark, it was the worst 2 days. It was stuff that we already knew. It was useless. But our company, just the fact that she had written a book, they were impressed enough to hire her. I was like, oh God, that's horrible. But,
But look, that's the thing. Credibility. Look, 30 years from now, people are going to say, "What's a book?" That's something you open on your iPhone and read. It's like a book is like a long email.
Well, I think eventually it's going to be something we probably plug into our ear, and it downloads in half a second, and we've got that knowledge. Who knows?
Right. You might be right.
I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Well, look, I mean, I'm going to get to the drum roll here, which I really want to hear a lot more about Starsona.
Good. I want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, look, it's exciting because, I'm not just a huge sports fan and a fan in general of whether it's media, entertainment, et cetera, but I'm also a fan of the idea where anybody can get somebody on your app to deliver a message. But you know what? I'm not going to take away your thunder. Why don't you go ahead and explain it? No, go ahead. Go for it. Tell me about Starsona.
So, like we've talked about, I've represented some celebrities and some high-profile people, and every now and then friends will call me and say, hey, can you have one of your high-profile clients wish my kid a happy birthday on a video? And I also represent a lot of athletes that don't have much money anymore, but they're still nice guys or nice women, and they'll stop at the shopping center and they'll do a selfie with a fan because that's who they are and they're nice people, but they don't have a way to monetize it, and nobody knows they could use $40 for dinner or whatever. So I have a sister-in-law who's a big Silicon Valley entrepreneur. She was chief marketing officer of LegalZoom and of Invisalign. And I got working with her and got to know her. And I said, you know what? I want to try something that I've been thinking of for years. I call it the Happy Birthday app. Shouldn't there be an app so that if I want to send my kid a happy birthday video from someone, one of their favorite stars, or if I want to, I'm a big fan of the Toronto Raptors, but I don't live in Toronto and I don't know how I'd ever meet Kyle Lowry or any of the player or Fred VanVleet, but I'm making good money and I'd pay $1,000 to have him say happy birthday to my kid because my kid just is a diehard Toronto Raptors fan. There should be an app for that. They loved it. We met a guy. They introduced me, she and some of her colleagues out in Silicon Valley. I flew out there, introduced me to a guy who'd been CEO of a company called Zero with an X, and he'd been way up in PayPal and into it, and he loved it. He'd just come back from sabbatical, having made a lot of money and done some really good things, and had a few offers on his plate. And he said, I love this idea. Let's do it ourselves. Let's self-fund. And I learned right away, you don't get investors. You just do it yourself. It doesn't you keep the value. And I was excited, number one, because it was a dream that I had and it was going to come true. And number two, I was learning another field. And number three, I didn't have to do the work. They didn't have to do,
nice.
How do you get the payments structured? How do you build the website? How do you make the cover for the web? The whatever they call it, the screen. Yeah, so that when they have the mechanics going on in the internet and the website and the app, that it looks well and it looks appealing, it's intuitive, and people know where to click and where to push and how does it responsive and how does it, all those things that they know how to do.
Wait, you didn't do that?
No, sorry. All I did is tell people about it. I didn't learn though.
Perfect.
I thought because it was my idea, I got to own the company and make all the money, and I learned really quickly. There are tons of ideas. It's a good idea, but it's implementation, effectuation, making it work. So we partnered up and we've all been doing it. We just recently launched it and we are about to launch the web version so that you can sign up for a star from anywhere in the world. Right now it's a North American app. It's on the App Store. It's on Google Play. It's called Starsona, like persona, but Starsona. And, in the first few months, we've already just signed up about 150 folks, a lot of former NFL players, some basketball players, some current players, and some hip hop folks, some comedians, some radio personalities, and I think it's seamless. And I'd love for you or anyone listening to this to just try it and send me their feedback. Randy@starsona.com. Just say, I tried the app and it would be better if it had this, or I like this part of it. Because right now we're in that very beginning stage. The idea is great. You know, there are going to be some problems. There'll be some stars that don't follow through that we'll have to push. But I think, generally speaking, everyone that hears about it loves it. There's no negative to it. The star sets whatever rate they want. They get the majority of the money. They can donate the money to charity. They can keep the money. So a lot of them are donating it to charity. And you can ask them not only to do a video for you, you can ask them to announce an event. You know, this is, hey, Mark's birthday is coming up, you know, Friday, July 29th at the, you know, Apollo Theater. Take this as your official invitation from me, you know, The Rock or whoever we have do it, you know. Or you can ask them a question. You can say, what was it like to win the NBA championship 2 years in a row? And then you have the answer from the player saying, you know, I thought you couldn't top the first one, but the second was even better. And I just want to tell you, in your life, Mark, you know, you think your book is great, write another one, because the second one's always better than the first, whatever it is. And
that's great.
So it's a question and answer. But I think it works well. I'm happy that it's done, that it's out there. My team is, you know, a bunch of go-getters. They're all full-time. They're all doing this without salary, just because the app's going to make it, and that's where their money will come from. But they love it. We love it, and it's making people happy. And there's no catch. It's not like you have to pay to you don't have to pay to download the app. You don't have to pay if you're a star to be on it. You don't have to pay if you're a fan. And the only thing you pay for is for a product. You know, how much is it worth to you to hear your favorite hero or someone from your favorite team, the New York Jets, you know, wish you happy birthday or congratulations on your 10-year work anniversary? And I mean, you show that to your coworkers. You know, it's just, there's so many good uses of it. You want to impress a woman, you get her favorite singer to order steak for her, and you go to the restaurant, and then you put up the video of, you know, Big Tigger or Ryan Cameron or, you know, Dominic Wilkins ordering, here's what my girlfriend would like. Dominic, take it away. You know, and he tells the waiter, he'd like the steak medium rare with a side of asparagus. You know, you can have all sorts of fun with it. So,
oh my God.
So that's my spiel on Starsona, and I really would just implore anybody that's curious about it to download it and email me, tell me what you think of it, tell me what else we could do. Check this out. Look at this. Can you see it?
Oh yeah. Whoa, there he goes. That's amazing. Well, we just saw this exciting video footage of a hawk circling Randy's office.
It might have been a peregrine falcon, but it was something big.
Yeah. All right. That was very cool. Well, look, so now what's the best way, do you think, to market this to an athlete or somebody that wants to be on the app?
I think that, you know, if you're in touch with one, you tell them, look at her, tell them who's on it. You tell them that there's, you know, Champ Bailey and Evander Holyfield and Tyronn Lue. And, you know, if you're in touch with them, you tell them that there are other people that are already leaders in the field on it. But how do you get in touch with them? I don't know. I think when we start our marketing campaign, and we've not done any interviews or any press releases about it at all. And this is the first time I'm really talking about it with anybody other than privately. I think when the word gets out, everyone's going to hear about it. You know, everybody knows a star. Everybody knows somebody. They've got an uncle that's a TV anchor. They've got a brother who, you know, is the manager for the, you know, minor league baseball team. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. And I think the word's just going to spread, because if you're an athlete or a star or a celebrity or a musician or a TV guy or woman, how nice would it be to just sit home at night and say, oh, look, instead of doing 15 Instagram posts or 15 Twitter posts, I'm going to do 10 videos of 15 seconds each. I'm going to make $3,000 and I'll give that to my favorite charity. And also when I do that and I make Johnny's day, he's going to spread it on his Instagram. And now all of his friends are going to think that I'm a cool guy for doing a cool video. And I'm going to go get my Super Bowl championship ring and show that. And then, you know, I'm going to say, look, I'm dedicating this ring to you, little boy. You know, there's so many cool components to it that I think it's the new social media, you know, Facebook, it's whatever it is. They all started somewhere. This is like my daughter once said to me, yeah, if you can get, you know, somebody famous to say my name, that's more important than a gift. You know, you know, there's this connection with celebrity, which our society is fascinated with.
So I'm going to play Shark Tank on you a little bit. So forgive me if you don't mind.
That's all right. I may not answer, but, you know.
Yeah, forgot you're a lawyer.
No.
But I mean, are there others that are trying to do this, or are you, as far as first to entry, first to market?
So the reason we're not on Shark Tank yet is because I listen and I watch and I know Shark Tank, and it's all about sales and product and where you are in the process. So we did our research. There were a lot of companies that tried it, and I've met with the owners and I've talked to the people that did it. 7 years ago they tried one. There's one 8 years ago. The technology wasn't there. It wasn't so easy for a star to record on their phone. The emphasis to the stars on marketing themselves wasn't there like it is today. They weren't told, instructed, get on Instagram, get on social media. There have been problems with people that just were not connected to stars and couldn't get anybody off the star. So there are probably one or two. There's one in Europe. There's one in America. They were not an app. They were a web-based platform. We were an app, not a. Now we're each doing what each other's doing. But there's no exclusivity. In other words, people that sign up for Starsona don't have to say, I won't do a video for another organization. You can try us. It's like being on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Sure.
Try us.
That's great.
But no one's out there with the headwind that we have. And nobody that I know of has been all over the news or all over the media. And I think if you look at whoever else is out there, our platform is so easy to use and so advanced and so modern. It's got such a good feel to it. That once we start marketing it, I can't imagine people not using it. And the nice thing is, I don't care if we have 1 million users. If we got 100 users, I'm happy. If we get 1,000 users, I'm happy, because whoever uses it is going to be happy. You're only going to pay $30 for a star's video if it's worth $30 to you. And so,
right. It's perfect. And quite frankly, and this is something I talk about with the whole coaching field, where some people say, well, Mark, aren't you worried that there's, someone else will write a book about helping athletes transition into whatever, and
sure,
someone else will do it. I'm like, bring it on. That's fine. I mean, we need more vision on that. We need more exposure to that. And so it's okay. I can't help every athlete out there, or every whatever it is. So look. No,
you're trying to make the world better, and you're trying to make athletes better. And that's all you can do.
Yeah, and same with, that's why I love the platform you're talking about, Starsona. So in terms of what's we're going to be launching in a couple of weeks. So we're recording this a little bit in advance today, but what are the plans on getting this out to the masses, or are there plans to do that? Or are you kind of doing it organically?
There are a whole bunch of plans, and I can't give away all our trade secrets. We got people that are got young people that are reaching out to all the social media stars and the YouTubers, and we got older people like me that are contacting, the NFL agents and the NFL financial advisors. And I think, like you said, I'm in the media a lot, so I think it's just a good public interest story. I don't think it's gonna be hard to get the word out. I think it's gonna be very easy to say to Entertainment Tonight or to TMZ or to whoever, or to trade magazines, hey, you want to hear a cool story? They'll talk about it because it's cool, and everyone wants to be the first to know about something. So when someone hears about it, it's like a secret. The best thing about a secret is sharing it, right?
Yeah.
You learn something cool and you tell somebody about it. So I don't think the marketing is going to be a hard thing, but we're not going to do a one-dimensional marketing plan. P.T. Barnum once said 50% of my marketing dollars are working. I don't know which 50%.
Yeah,
so
Oh, yeah.
We'll be on TV. We'll be in, but we're not going to do a lot of paid marketing. We will do interviews. We'll do, public interest piece, but we won't do. I don't think we're going to do billboards and,
Well, the one thing I want to, one of the things I love to really talk to my clients quite a bit about is using the platforms that are available, especially LinkedIn. And I'm such a huge fan of LinkedIn because it's basically almost free advertising. And I think in your case, if you wrote an article, and basically in the article you're saying, wouldn't it be amazing to have
it's already written.
Oh, nice, awesome.
It's not out there yet, but you're
It's all about teeing that up, and then you're sharing it with your groups, you're sharing it with your followers, and then all of a sudden 500,000 eyes see it, and you're off and running. So that's amazing. That's really great. So switching gears for a sec here, I said I might be asking you this, so I'm going to ask you, are there any, looking back at some of these things, what are, maybe a couple of lessons that you've learned along the way, that maybe a mistake or so that you've made here and there, that maybe you can give some people that haven't gone through that yet some advice?
In practicing law, or in general, or in what context?
How about, we'll start with the legal stuff. In other words, you've set up this practice, you've grown it.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
What are some of what have you learned from growing a practice?
that you got to kiss a lot of toads, you know, when you're hiring people, but hire somebody. You know, if you're good at something, do what you're good at. I'm good at practicing law. I love trying cases. I love counseling people. I love giving advice and looking at the big picture. So I'm not good at shopping at Office Depot. I'm not good at figuring out how to use technology, as you know, and you know, you made it easy to do this podcast, but it's not my thing. I wasn't good at it. But we've got an in-house IT guy. Spend the money on things that you need help doing. Don't be afraid. If you're a lawyer and you want to offer quality services to your clients, have somebody that knows how to do technology so that you can make a conference call without having to worry about it. Have somebody that's good at putting graphics together for presentations in court, because the public today and juries or judges like seeing graphics. You know, have a full-time secretary that does nothing but answer the phone and greet people when they come in the door, so that when someone walks in the door, they're not ringing a bell waiting for your secretary to come out and say, well, I double as Randy's legal secretary and the receptionist. Don't be penny shy, and you know, and don't be penny wise and pound foolish, whatever the saying is.
Yeah, that's it. So that's a great one. And how about now, when you were trying to get Starsona up and running and cranking and through the whole idea thing, what are some of the things that you learned along the way where you're saying, wow, I had no idea an app was either this challenging or this easy or this, you know, it had to be a whole new world for you.
I learned that you know, you have to have a phenomenal product, and it's so much easier to sell a good product. A bad salesman can sell a great product easily. A great salesman can sell a bad product once or twice.
Right.
You know, but then the bad product, it doesn't matter if the product's bad, you can be the best salesperson in the world. I'm lucky. I think I've got a great product because there's nothing that I have to get over the hump. It's not like, well, I want to sell you life insurance, but you got to pay me $5,000 a year. This is something that, if you're a star, do this. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're going to spend 15 seconds wishing a kid a happy birthday, which you would do anyway because you're a nice person and you would do it if you saw them while you're grocery shopping, do it, and then you made some money for charity and you make somebody happy. I mean, and if you don't want to do it, turn it off, or you can limit how many bookings you accept on, or raise your price. So I think we've got such an easy product that I don't have to explain anything away or say, well, it's good, but there's this nuance or this catch. It's just, so if you're in sales, be lucky enough to sell something that you really believe in, that you really think is easy to use and that benefits the user. So I learned that. I learned that life insurance people must really believe in their product because they really are helping you. But, you know, unfortunately, they may have had an experience where someone in their family died and they realize, I wish we had life insurance. That's why I really believe in it. In our business, you don't have to have anything dramatic happen to you to know it's just a good, fun, easy product to sell. And I'm not going to quit my day job because it's just the kind of thing that's going to sell itself. I don't have to go out there and really push people. I just have to tell people about it.
That's great. So I'm switching gears now to, I'd love to get, if possible, and you know, tell me what you can and what you can't and so forth, but maybe I'd love to hear a funny anecdote, if you could, of maybe one of your interactions with any of the athletes that you've worked with, and, you know, something that in looking back, you kind of laugh because, you know, it was, you know, maybe something that started out would have been tough, but it turned into something that was very funny.
All right. So, there's so many, I just wish I could tell them all. So here's one. There was this athlete, and he was a really tall guy, a big guy. And I remember one of my young lawyers called him on his cell phone. And the guy didn't say hello. He didn't say, how are you? All he said is, and he said it quicker than I'm about to say it, but I'm going to say it slow so you understand it. He said, who's the MF that's got my damn cell number? But he said it really quickly. Who the MF got my damn cell number, you know? And then my associate said, it's David. And then the athlete said, David, how you doing? Because, you know, this guy didn't recognize the number, and everyone in the world's trying to call him. And I remember, you know, the guy turned, you know, blank white when he answered. But we get stuff like that. It's just sort of fun to be accepted. And I guess that was an example of being accepted into the inner circle. Oh, okay. It's okay to call him on a cell phone.
You know, I think a lot of people see, they'll watch a show like Ballers and they'll wonder if, you know, how accurate a lot of that stuff is.
I don't watch it a lot, but it is accurate. I mean, everything the little that I've seen, I mean, it's, you know, it's life in the fast lane, and you got to figure it all out. And there's some smart people, there's some smart agents, there's some smart ball players, and and it's just like a microcosm of their whole life. And that's the problem. Is I feel bad for athletes. I mean, I really do. No one else does that I know of. But to live your life and be at the pinnacle, maybe of your career when you're 25, that's a tough, uphill battle to try to do bigger and better things when you're 30 and 40. You won the world championship in baseball at age 22. What can you do that's bigger than that? And that's a real challenge. And a lot of guys do bigger things, and they move on and they do bigger and better things. But the bar is set pretty high at a young age, and that's a big struggle. And a lot of them don't make it, and it's psychologically hard. So I don't envy people that have had a big career moment when they're in their 20s.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I found that one of the things I plan on doing is also shifting a lot of my coaching into the helping veterans transition into civilian life.
Whew, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but a lot of them have gone through a very similar thing where I almost say when you go from either the battlefield or the playing field and you try to transition into basically civilian life or the non-athlete life, the non-soldier life, it is such a tough transition because, as a soldier, you're being ordered how to do things, but you're doing things selflessly, completely.
Right.
But now suddenly you're being thrust into a world where you've hit your pinnacle as a kid. As a soldier, but there are majors and colonels and so on that they're 23, 24, 25. They're young. And now they get out and they're like, oh, wow, what now?
Yeah. You see why there's post-traumatic stress. People that are used to commanding troops and putting them in harm's way and protecting them, and all of a sudden, so
it's a lot. But look, I number one, I certainly appreciate your time. It's been great. This is just I would say a quarter notch down from CNN or CBS, but I do appreciate your time being on this podcast.
No, it's way better than CNN. You're much more personal and much better. This is great.
And great news. You didn't have to put any makeup for this.
And I'm trying to get it off from today.
It's funny.
I still wake up in the morning. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot. And my pillow's all brown. So I don't know how women do it.
I don't either. But what's funny is a friend of mine. He's with NBC here in New York, and he was meeting me for lunch, and he came down from just doing his spot. And he had forgotten to take off his stuff too. And I was like, dude, man, that's a creepy look. Get it off, please.
Yeah,
but
I forget that I have it on.
It works for TV, but maybe not. It's fine for the podcast. But I guess going forward, because I love sort of pushing my little make your mark moments here.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about how you hope to, over the next, whether it's year, 5 years, how do you want to make your mark going forward, and sort of what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, that kind of thing?
Well, this sounds cocky and but I'm so lucky to be where I am now. If people say, where do you want to be when you're 60 or 70? I want to be where I am now. I got a great law firm. I've got great lawyers. I've got great clients. I think we have good respect among the community and then from the judges. And, I just want to keep what I have and not lose it. That's, very, very lucky. And I want to practice law till I die. I love the thrill of, taking someone who's not really confident about their future and making them more confident, or giving them some structure and making them feel better. And I just, I'm lucky. If I do my job right, then I've helped the world in a little way. I've helped families here and there. And I don't have any goals beyond what I've already done. And maybe that's boring, but it's, maybe it's cliche.
Oh, it's not boring, but I think it's amazing. Look, I think everybody would love to be in such a position. That's great. But I think you forgot about one. I think you want ideally.
I want Starsona to sell.
Yeah, exactly.
I want Starsona to sell for $1 billion. That'd be nice, but
No, you don't want to sell it. Maybe you do.
Well, for $1 billion, I'd probably part ways with it.
You'll take the call. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I better jump in now before it's $1 billion.
That's it.
But listen, I appreciate your time today. Thanks so much, and look forward to seeing how you're going to keep making your mark down the road. This is Mark Moyer with Randy Kessler, and we'll catch up soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us today on this episode of Make Your Mark podcast. The goal of the podcast is to help you find ways to make your mark, to succeed in life, and to jump past your competition. Be sure to leave me a review on iTunes and Stitcher, and subscribe to be the first to hear new episodes. If you're looking for ways to make your mark, send me an email, mark@markmoyer.com, and I'll get back to you right away. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.